Alright, welcome back to Modern Warfare. Today I'll be taking a look at a weapon that is controversial at best and pissing everybody off at worst, and that is not the M4, that is the FAL. Now the FAL is a semi-automatic medium to long-range marksman rifle with extremely high recoil and moderate to high damage with no fire cap and a pretty large variety of attachments. Getting right into it, attachment-wise, this is a bit of a finicky weapon. Muzzle-wise, you want either the recoil reducers or the monolithic suppressor. If you're going to snipe, I wouldn't really suggest any of the rest of these, or really the monolithic. You usually just run a recoil reducer. Barrels, they all have their own use. If you want to maximize your movement speed, you're going to run this one, but the recoil is terrible by default, so reducing it at all is very detrimental. Bullet velocity doesn't hurt that much, though. XRK marksman's clearly if you're going to be sniping with this thing, which isn't a bad option. This is a solid sniper. Laser sights, only if you want to hip fire, just run this one. If not, I wouldn't suggest this one. There's better attachments for you. Sights are a choice, although I really quite like the monocle on this one. Just looks nice. Close quarter stock's always going to be the best one because it's got the smallest debuff, and aim down sight speed is very important. Grips are to use, although I do like the recoil reducer one purely because it's hard to get recoil reduction for this gun. Magazines are to taste. This one's good if you're doing burst fire, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Burst fire for this gun is actually pretty solid, and this will give you just 10 bursts, and you can one burst people, so that's 10 kills per magazine, which isn't bad. Grips, Commando foregrip is my favorite, solid recoil reduction, and no negative to ADS time, which is always important. Obviously the rest of them are good, and if you're making a sniper build, don't sleep on the 12 gauge WD. Dishes out good damage and cover your ass in an emergency. Perks, the only ones worth using are sleight of hand and burst. And I have a burst class. I think I have two of them. Yeah, I have one right here that's a close range burst class. And then I have one here, which is a sniper burst class. So, let's go into this test and go through some of these classes. Warning, the recoil on this gun is extremely high and makes it borderline unusable. I'm not a fan in the slightest. But, this gun can put out good DPS when handled well. And it can out-snipe many snipers. We'll break out this medium-range assault rifle version. This can out-snipe many designated marksman rifles or M4s if you hit your shots. Two-shot headshots and two-shot. You can see that recoil, even on a recoil reduction build, is pretty crazy. But when you're getting close to ranges, recoil's not as big of a deal, which is yeah, you can always just spam like that, which is not a bad fallback, but it is hard to control the recoil in this thing when firing full auto, because semi-autos, it's a different muscle feel to control the recoil when firing at a higher fire rate. And I'm just not a fan of how it feels. I'm just not a fan. But you can kind of keep up. You can keep up with bots and players with this. Time to kill isn't rough. And if you're trigger finger, like, it's not a bad fire rate. And you can go faster than that. But you're going to have to deal with that fire rate. I will say this weapon tears up hardcore. If you're a hardcore player, this is absolutely the best gun in hardcore. Always one-shots people, good fire rate. And because you only need to hit one shot, that recoil is not as bad. Where are you? But you can see already the issue. Follow-up shots are just cumbersome. Let's break out this class. Come here. Shoot me. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Almost. Perfect. Noticeably higher recoil, but it handles well. Big magazine. Good hip fire on this one. So you can kind of bool around. I forgot to show what the weapons classes are. I'm going to do that in a second. But it can do that. Damn it. Don't sleep on the hipfire on this thing. It's not reliable like the MP7, but in a pinch, it'll drop stuff. Just like that. And that's actually what this class was. It was a mostly hipfire-based class. Laser, ADS time stock, muzzle brake, short barrel for movement speed. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to switch this up a little bit. We'll switch in the muzzle brake for the Merc foregrip. Even tighter hipfire. And we'll go back into hipfire in a second. So I don't even think this is the best hipfire class for this thing, but it's the easiest to use, and it's the first one you unlock. And it can compete. It can do it. It won't dominate, but it'll compete. Kind of funny, to be honest, because it can do that, or it can do what it did to those guys over there. There's really just no predicting it. But man, is it exciting. This is a very high skill ceiling gun. Due to not having a fire cap and having high recoil. If you can get a good feel for it, you can draw people. I'm just kind of running around hip firing them, but you can draw people at long ranges with this thing and have no issues. So, is this the other burst class? No, I have two burst classes. This is the wrong one. We'll show this one and we'll modify this one in a second. This is the burst. Burst fires a lot slower than, you know, obviously the fire cap, but you don't have to spam the trigger, making recoil reduction quite a bit easier. And it can one burst fools. Damn, I am just bad. Hit your shots. It can one burst in any range if you hit your shots. But because of the recoil on this CQB version, you're not going to. But you can see it definitely has no problem keeping up with these guys. But if we use a version like this, much more consistent one bursts. To longer ranges. Especially if you bipod it. Easy. As long as you get your shots. This is one of the better, like, marksman weapons. Because you can just do that to people. You can delete them once you set this up right. Handling's not great, but, I mean, what can you say? It's a long-range delete weapon. Aim for the head, that's all I can say about this. But if you like marksman burst weapons, you like the old FAMAS from Modern Warfare 2, this might fill a little hole in your heart. The heart you probably don't have because you like the FAMAS from Modern Warfare 2. One burst for days. Not even an M4 can keep up with this thing built like this. If you aim true. Not even an M4 can keep up with that. Alright, so we're going to modify this one real quick. And this is going to annoy somebody. I guarantee it. It's going to drive somebody absolutely insane. Don't kill the messenger. This is the stupidest thing on planet Earth. But I've used it in multiplayer. And it works surprisingly well. So that's the bad side of this thing. It can do that. It can spray all over the place, and it can miss shots. And then randomly, it'll just one burst people. Hip fire. We're just getting bad performance out of it right now. But recoil, because we don't have any We don't have too much hurting the recoil. We don't have a short barrel. Our recoil isn't unusable, so you can get fucked by that guy. Yeah, I'm making this look worse than it is. This is the gambler. It's like, damn, half the time it's gonna be bad, but once in a while you're just gonna get a burst, and I'm having bad luck with it right now. Hold on 1 second. Come here. It's just not the best shot right now. Well, she ain't treating me right now. But the math stands. When you run a high DPS, but pretty often I'll do what it's been doing for me so far, which is not a lot. I don't like this one. We got this last one. This is just a 2-tap, like 2-3-tap machine. Moderate recoil control, moderate mobility. Aim for headshots. It'll save you a lot of trouble. Because this gun wants a headshot will guarantee a 2-shot kill, which ultimately is what you want. Knee shots will give you 3 shots to kill. Upper chest shots, 2 shots to kill. This isn't a gun where you can run around spraying it, which is what I'm doing with spots. See 2 chest shots right there. This is a gun where you kind of want to patrol an area, pick fools off when they aren't looking at you. Range is good, but you will get beaten by a lot of ranges by guns that just have lower recoil. They are nerfing AR recoil across the board today. So, I think this guy needs a buff, definitely. I think just a blanket recoil buff would take this thing from being a solid gun to a competitive gun. Like, it's usable right now, and I think a lot of people don't put in the work to use it. But one good buff to its recoil, and this thing goes to being very competitive because the damage output is there. Like, compared to the ERB or the Drugnov, this thing puts out a lot of DPS. Its only problem is it kind of has the same recoil as those guns, and those guns have a fire cap, so... Man, I'm just bad. So, forgetting my performance, I would definitely advise you to level this thing up, especially if you're a hardcore player. This thing will carry you in hardcore. Like, just play a little passively, break the shit out, and it will roll full for you. And I've raging at this thing in hardcore many times, and I've used it in hardcore many times. In hardcore, this is like comparable to using the M4 in standard gameplay. Okay. You can see me dropping these guys pretty fast in CQB. Ironically, this is one of the best close range guns. Or long range guns. It's just got kind of a weak range in the middle. You can't really build it from close, medium, and long range. So you kind of have to choose. Use burst fire if you want to use it for medium range engagement. Burst fire also works long range, as I showed you, as long as you build for maximum recoil reduction. But there's no shame in just running this thing with a build like this, high mobility, big magazine, and then just dumping fools. It works. And man, if it works and you're having fun with it, I enjoy it. I have lots of fun with this gun. And if it works and you have fun with it, why not? Why not run it? Yeah, maybe your KD is going to be a little worse, but man, it's more fun to use this and learn to control the recoil and the fire rate than it is to use an M4 and just have it all done for you, isn't it? That's just my 2 cents. What do I know? I'm just a kid who plays Call of Duty, you know? Alright, well, that's about it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. If you have any suggestions for the next gun I should talk about, comments for that. Also, any thoughts on this gun, suggestions on builds I could go for, because I like trying build, like custom builds out for people. Test them out for you. That's about it. Deuces.